Hi, everyone. Blaine Bertsch, co-founder and CEO here at Dryrun. And again, a great conversation today with Melissa Diaz from High Rock Accounting. We like to do this monthly and dive into some really top of mind topics. And there's nothing more top of mind right now than cash flow. Hey, Melissa.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a single one of our clients that doesn't have an eagle eye on their cash flow right now. And additionally, unfortunately, we see across the board, it just seems every industry is really being hit, right? And a lot of that optimism or perhaps naivete coming into the year that things were going to hopefully turn around and start picking up, we're not seeing happen as fast as I think everyone would like to, or perhaps was planning on. So, one of the things we were talking about just a minute ago, Blaine, was, sales forecasting. And,
Mhm.
you know, absolutely it's important to have a level of optimism and it's important to have a best case, worst case scenario. Seems like everyone should really be starting to plan for the worst case and perhaps even
Yeah.
what is worse than worst case.
Yes. What are this is our sort of recommendation is and we're not trying to be like pessimistic, but um, plan for worst case, but figure out how you can be sustainable through, and it may not be months. It may be
Mm-hmm.
well into 25, maybe the end of 25. I've heard a lot of optimism about 25, but I kind of heard the same thing about 24. So
Right.
I think it comes down to making some decisions now that are going to help you be sustainable in the coming 18 months or whatever we're in for. But I honestly have not seen this sort of drag on cash flow and on revenue, and then on expenses and interest rates we're talking about. We'll dive into some of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I ever have. Certainly not during that COVID time, and it was supposed to be this big bounce back, and it's actually got a
Right.
lot worse.
Well, and I think too, unfortunately, what we've seen both because of interest rates, but also with inflation is, perhaps even the cost structure that businesses were planning previously are coming to be a lot more expensive than originally anticipated. And that really flows through to a lot of things. And the sales forecasting is so important because a lot of expenses you can't just turn around and get out of, next week or next month. A lot of times there's contracts that you have to give 30 days, 60 days, 90 days notice of cancellation, right? With employees, you don't want to just pull the rug out from someone, and unfortunately, take their job away with very little notice. And subsequent to that, there's also labor laws, right? That don't
Yeah.
allow you to just simply do that. So, a lot of things we really need businesses to be planning ahead and putting that plan in place. If things, if trends are not picking up, if sales are not picking up, and start executing on the plans now.
Yeah. And like I know during COVID, and this might be a little bit unpopular, but like we worked really hard to keep all of our staff in place.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I would do it the same way again. All the messaging we got, especially from the government, from the feds and everything, keep everybody. We'll help you. We'll support you. We'll help you. We'll support you. And um, they did for a bit, and then the rug got pulled out from under everybody. And it's like, well, guess where all the debt load is? It's on the businesses, right? Um, and so now, like I again don't like to be pessimistic, but it's also be very conscious of where the business is going, forecast very carefully. You may have to make some tough decisions because you can't wait till the last minute. And the example I've probably shared with you before, but the example I always give is you're stepping off a curb in front of a bus. Well, if the bus is
Mm-hmm.
a few blocks down, you got all kinds of options. But if you turn and the bus is right there, you're going to get schmucked. So you have to start really looking forward and forecasting those things and plotting that out so that your business can survive and hopefully that's not reducing staff, but sometimes it is. Hopefully there's other places that can be addressed first. Um, but I've heard more than once lately a business owner tell me we have to sell our way out of this, and
Yeah.
and that's it's a scary thing to be in, but that's where businesses are today. Is there's kind of no other option.
And you know what? I love that you brought that up because we are literally in that same place with almost all of the clients that come to us for that assistance with cash flow management and tracking is we really are. We have cut expenses as much as we possibly can, and sales is the only way out. So you really got to figure out Is the company a different company than you thought it was because you're just not generating the sales? Or is there a better place to start investing the money you do have to really generate that return?
Yeah, and from my experience, from a few decades of doing this, um, do it right, not fast. And
Right.
it's hard to say that right now. Uh, Slow is smooth and smooth is fast kind of idea in your sales, because I know even going back to 2008, 2009, like when we tried kind of the quick fix in sales, like, oh, we'll spend a bunch of money and we're going to advertise here or there. Um, and generally what we did is we flushed a bunch of money down the toilet, and just it
Right.
was the tried and true things that we found worked, not always fast, but they worked. And so that's what we're even doing now. It's just being very disciplined in looking at our numbers, analyzing what's working, and doubling down on what's working. There's no shortcuts, because those shortcuts cost money, and it ends up being it hurts you even more. You end up in even a deeper hole.
Right. And it really comes full circle. I love that you brought that up because great example is, a lot of prospects are coming to my firm now and saying, "Hey, we want your services. We love this package. We can't pay that much for it. Right? We need a lower
Yeah,
price." And we have to sit there and say, "Look, I mean, our cost is our cost, right? We have to also employ the people that work for us. We also have to
yeah,
pay our bills, and we cannot cut our, prices any more than what we have offered." And so I think business
yeah.
owners who are potentially hoping for better deals or, cheaper opportunities or options, a lot of times they actually end up costing more in the long run.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard for them. You're focused on your own thing all the time, right? But it's affecting businesses everywhere,
Right.
and like we saw even during COVID, I remember seeing all these restaurants that started doing delivery, and they were losing money on every delivery
Hmm.
for a couple of years there. They're losing money, but they just kept going. Well, I need the cash, and um, they were so scared to raise their prices, and then finally they seemed to all flip and say, well, we can't do this anymore, we're losing money, we're at least making cash but we're losing money. And they raised their prices, and there was no big outcry. People
Right.
still pay, they have it coming in, but the restaurants have their margin built in. And it's sort of a good lesson, is really understanding your profit margin. And cash coming in the door is important, but it's death by a thousand cuts if you're not profitable. So
Absolutely.
it's
Greater revenue, but less profitability is not the way to prosperity.
not the way to prosperity. It might keep your doors open short term, and sometimes that happens, but it's not the long term answer. So um, this is probably one of the darkest
I
conversations we've had
know.
since we started doing them. But this is what we're
But
seeing every
I mean, it
day.
really is. I mean, there is a balance between optimism and realism, right? And we want to
Yeah.
stay optimistic, but we also want to be realistic with our plans.
Yeah, you survive on realism, and optimism is what helps you get you out of bed every day.
Yeah,
So
exactly right.
it's yeah, but I know that the key is to not hide your head in the sand. The key is to truly know that, like I mentioned, the whole bus thing is like, yeah, it's give yourself time, and knowledge gives you time. Understanding all of your expenses, where you're headed, some sales forecasts that are really realistic. Um, when it's far enough ahead, it can give you options, and so that's what we're recommending, is just keep an eagle eye on that, and engage pros like you that can help truly understand where a business is heading, and what state you're in.
Absolutely. And of course, we love to use tools like Dryrun, which make our job a lot easier. But also, what's nice about that is you can engage a professional and get these things set up. And even if you don't have the capital to continue that professional being involved, at least you know that what's been set up from the beginning is reliable, and is actually going to give you the right information and train you how to use the tools like Dryrun. And then, when things turn around, re-engage us and take some of that burden off the business owner.
Yeah, absolutely. And where can they find you, Melissa?
Sure. So you can find us at www.highrock.co. And you can reach out to us directly through our website. You can see all the various different services we provide, one of which is cash flow management and tracking. And of course, we love to partner with groups like Dryrun that, like I said, make that job a lot easier on us.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. And of course, if you're looking for a way to forecast your cash flow, forecast your revenue, model scenarios, and even if you have a really complicated business with a lot of entities and a lot of people and a lot of currencies and everything else, come and see us, because the more complicated, the more we might be able to help. And you can come visit us at dryrun.com.